Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. My brother Pete Najarian and I will be bringing you the top stories of the day and our reaction to those news stories, how they will move the stocks, as well as the macro picture. We'll only give it a minute, folks. And, of course, fantastic futures and sports. All that in just 30 seconds. Bang!
It is official. Here we go. We got a lot to cover today, John. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this market, man.
There is. There always is, Pete.
It's
one of the reasons that you and I tell people all the time at our conferences, which we've got another one coming up, Pete, in September, 19th and 20th down in Aventura, Florida, at Cardone Studios. More on that coming up shortly, folks. But we always tell people this is one job where it's different every day. Certain things are the same, the opening times and so forth, but reactions to stock news, to political news, to world events, that all drives the markets. And that makes it interesting, doesn't it, Pete?
It does. It does. Every single day, it's a new day, man.
Well, let's dive into macro minute, Pete. I'm going to say markets are experiencing this consolidation period after pretty significant gains this week. Optimism about that truce or ceasefire, I guess I should call it, not a truce, between Israel and Iran. And the NASDAQ 100 hit record highs, and the S&P is like that far away, Pete.
Yeah, it is amazing, John. I mean, when you consider all the things that are going on across, the world, it's amazing how the markets, the resiliency has been there time and time again. And as you said, the last couple of days, we've had some pretty monstrous days, yesterday being a huge one, of course. So we got a lot going on. I think it's really interesting. There is a path. Powell has been in front of folks talking about this thing. Also, you're hearing more and more every day, it seems like, from a different Fed governor as well, right, John? That says, hey, we're thinking about some cuts, but when is the big question, I guess, and that's what we're all kind of waiting on. But for right now, I think Powell, he stood up, he said what he wanted to say, which was, hey, look, we've got all the data that we need, but we still need one more thing, kind of a storyline. So we're not that far away from seeing the Fed step up with the cuts, I would say.
Yeah, and more Fed governors are coming out and saying exactly that, Pete.
Yep.
Maybe they want to be the next Fed chairman because Trump says he's got 3 or 4 in mind, Pete. All right, let's talk about fantastic futures. I will say, as far as the fantastic futures, that I'm looking at Bitcoin trading up over 108,000, Pete. Just a couple days ago, it broke through 100 to the downside and was trading 98,900 or something like that. But we're right back, and pretty substantial rally today. So that is my fantastic future.
Well, I'm going to do a double animal style. It's not the burger at In-N-Out Burger, though. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the VIX and what's going on with the OVX, because it really is amazing. The OVX being oil volatility index. So June 17th, both of these different volatility measures. The VIX itself, John, was trading as high as 22. You know where it is today? It's not that long ago. It's sitting at 17, and actually at some point it could even get into the 16s today. That's in the very low 17s. That being said, you've got the oil volatility index. It's down another 9% today. You and I have been documenting how much volume and how much it's been going down over the last couple of sessions. How about if I told you this? June 17th, same date as that VIX. 74 was where that OVX was then. Now we're sitting at 44. I think it says a lot about the volatility and what people should be expecting in the market. And the OVX might still have some downside, despite the fact that that's a huge drop. I'm looking at it, John. There still might be some more downside coming for that measure.
Yeah, and just think, I mean, the ultimate Iran cutting their nose off to spite their face would be you close the Straits of Hormuz, which is a very narrow area, obviously, between Iran and other countries. If you did that, you would not have any money flowing to Iran, Pete. It would cut off everything. So that's the cutting off your nose to spite your face. And I guess that's what's playing out. They're not going to do that, at least not right now. They've threatened it, but they're not going to do it. All right, folks, Venture Minute. How about this? Fantastic company called Option Circle. Company has a platform that enables automated option trading based on a variety of strategies that can be chosen by the traders using the platform. It enables professional traders the opportunity to develop and offer their own unique trading strategies to the Option Circle community. We're plenty excited about this company, folks. In fact, Market Rebellion will be adding some of our most popular option strategies to the Option Circle platform in coming weeks. Option Circle is conducting an equity crowdfunding campaign, and they are offering an opportunity for a limited time to participate and become a shareholder in this unique options trading platform. And of course, lawyers require me to advise you that this is considered a compensated promotion on behalf of Option Circle. For more information on this exciting company, please click the link below. Thank you. All right, Pete, let's dive right into some stocks.
Let's do it.
Let's kick it off with Blackberry. Now, this stock used to be so popular that when President Obama came into office, Pete, he didn't want to give up his Blackberry, that so-called research in motion. And I know you guys, if you're over 20 years old, that is, you know what a Blackberry is. But an awful lot of people just couldn't live without it. And now they're really about a little bit of communication and a lot about security, Pete. And that's why the stock is up big today, because the German government, for their secure communications platform, they just picked Blackberry BB, and that's why shares are popping to the upside. That and some pretty positive earnings as well, Pete.
Yep, their earnings were solid, John. They beat on the Q1 estimates that they were out there with. The stock's up as much as 15% or more, depending on the moment that you're looking at it. Stock's been anywhere between 2 and 6.25. And a lot of people probably forgot about Blackberry. Yes, it still exists. Yes, they still trade. They do have some shorts that are playing the short side of things, John. But this is a company with a solid balance sheet from the past as well as the future, and cybersecurity services. That's what you were just talking about. That's what I think really has people very excited about this stock today. There's a big and a great reason to be excited about this, because this could be a game changer for them to get them back up there towards those 52-week highs. They actually raised their yearly forecast as well, John. So from a strength standpoint, everywhere you look, this is a really, really good day for Blackberry, and it might not be the last good day. They might have quite a few more days like this in front of them into the future.
Well, one that's had a little bit of a struggle, Pete, lately is FedEx. Yeah. Some of that, of course, comes from the idea that FedEx and UPS were usurped, if you want to look that word up on your thesaurus, folks, by Prime, which is, of course, what Amazon has called their delivery service, because they have the trucks, they have airplanes and so forth that haul an awful lot of their packages, not all of them, but it cut down the revenue to both UPS and FedEx. And meanwhile, this one, Pete, trading to the downside hard, FedEx that is, plunging a bit over 5% after they reported better than expected earnings, but then their outlook was what people messed up on.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, John. When you look at the earnings themselves, yeah, they actually crushed it. They put up 607. They were looking for 581. That's a pretty big beat, I'd say. The revenue also, another spot where they made a really nice beat, but it's the outlook, as you were referring to, and the fact that their new outlook is going to be just going out a quarter. I don't think people are very happy about that. I think that I liked a lot, especially early on during the earnings season, when folks would say, hey, look, if this, then the numbers look like this. If that, with the tariffs, the numbers look like this. They didn't do that. They just said, you know what, the way we're going to approach this is we're only going to do it on a quarterly basis. That's why this stock is kind of hovering around a lot closer to the 52-week lows, John. It's traded, last I looked, it was trading about $224. 194 is the low, 314 is the high. So it's well off those 52-week highs. And I'm not so sure, even though the PE is low, I don't think this is one of those companies that, unless they make some changes, and I think they do need to make some changes, but unless they do that, they've got a problem on their hands right now.
Well, how about one without a problem, Pete? And that's QuantumScape. I almost skipped QuantumScape.
How could you do it?
QS. It's up about 40%, folks, following the company's announcement that it has successfully integrated its Cobra Cripes, its Cobra separator process into a baseline cell production. These aren't human cells, folks. These are cells for batteries. And if these guys are able to do what the promise is of this Cobra separator, it's going to be massive for QuantumScape, Pete. And that's why shares are up this much. It's not a takeover, at least not yet, but it is a fantastic move out of the stock.
Yeah, it certainly is, John, and they're doing things right. They do have a lot of shorts fighting against them too, just from a fundamental perspective. I always like to look over and say, well, this thing's moving up pretty substantially, right? 20%, 25%, whatever. When you see that, there's almost always going to be connected with that, all of what I'm talking about, which is that short interest, about 11 to about 15%. They got a high cash burn, so they need to have things happen, but they are starting to happen. And I think that's the good news right now for QuantumScape when you look what's going on and how Cobra actually boosts the productivity that they're looking for. This is battery technology with the lithium side of things. And so far, John, things are starting to get into the step that they need to have happen. This is a company, if things go well, this thing can go a heck of a lot higher than it is right now. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of different ways that you'd want to approach this one to try to not be just completely long. And I think there's ways that you could do this with options that would make it pretty interesting. I'm not here to put that out there. You're going to have to learn about that yourself. But I think that is probably the best approach that somebody'd want to do is the option side of it rather than the stock, because we can see how volatile it really is.
Yeah. And Pete, 115 million shares versus 10 million on a normal day. So those shorts are getting slaughtered. Yep. And there's an awful lot of turnover. People saying, okay, they're for real. The batteries are for real. And if they can get that much more out of these batteries, well, obviously the world will beat a path to their door.
Yeah.
All right. One more stock, folks. Take a look at Bumble. I just love the name Bumble. It's an online dating and social networking platform, of course. But why is it up today? Because their revenue is through the roof? No, it's up because they're laying off 30% of their workforce. And that's going to save them about $40 million annually. So that, from a business standpoint, is a good thing. From a human standpoint, not so good. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that one, Pete. But man, this is a big deal for Bumble and their shareholders.
Yep. Another one with some huge shorts there, John, trying to fight against this whole thing. But with the stock going up the way it is today, which is a pretty substantial move, call it 20% or more, with a 30% reduction in your workforce, yeah, to your point, that's sad because you've got to get rid of these workers. That side of it is sad. But as far as the company itself goes, wow, they raised their Q2 guidance for their revenue, their EBITDA guide as well. And they're saving, as you pointed out, John, about $40 million annually. So they're doing this for all the right reasons from a business perspective when we have to respect that. And that's why this stock has been on the move to the upside today. It's still right in the between that 52-week low and 52-week high. But this is a name that certainly could go up there and test that 52-week high. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen over the next couple of weeks or months.
Well, Pete, normally we would run a little video into the sports segment that you're about to run. But I thought we would talk just for a moment about Anthony Pompliano and this big deal that he has struck, because they did a $1 billion merger with a SPAC that raised over $750 million. That's the largest initial fundraise in the history of public Bitcoin treasury companies. Now, if you guys know Pomp, and Pete and I have talked to him, brilliant guy, West Point grad, fabulous podcast and all the rest. And he really knows his stuff on the crypto side, Pete. So the fact that he is in here basically putting out a Bitcoin treasury company, I think is a big deal. I mean, think of MicroStrategy, but without the hangover, Pete, of whatever the business is of MicroStrategy absent Bitcoin. These guys are just going to own public Bitcoin treasury, and I think it's a big deal.
Oh, it is a big deal. And Pomp is, you and I both know, the guy's a total stud. I mean, the military side of him, and then all of a sudden, look at the success he's had. And he's embraced crypto probably well ahead of most people. So because of all those things, yeah, you got to have nothing but respect for what he's been able to accomplish in a really pretty short period of time. And he's a young guy still, John. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, and here's a who's who of firms that invested with him, Pete. Magnetar Capital from right there in Chicago, Woodline Partners, Anson Funds, RK Capital, Off the Chain Capital, Parify, Blockchain.com. I mean, these are just some of the firms that invested with him. So you get endorsement from Pomp, that's a big deal. You take all of these companies along with it, and there's always risks, folks, but I'm telling you, I think this thing is going places. It trades under the symbol CCCM. That's 3 C's and an M for his company. Worth at least taking a look at, folks. Not paid. This is not a paid sponsorship or anything of the sort, but I really like what Pomp and his team have helped put together. So with that said, Pete, let's let you lead us into sports.
All right, we're going to start off with a little NFL football only because we can, and we can do whatever we choose to do, right? So I'm going to do this, John. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is in the news every single stinking day. And you know what? I think he kind of enjoys it. I don't know that he totally loves it, but, you know, I think he does enjoy it, and he likes going around. He does that bit with Pat McAfee every week. And on the Pat McAfee show, John, he talked about his world of the NFL. And he said, you know what? I think it's pretty much going to be a one and done deal. Now, he didn't say he absolutely is going to be there 1 year and 1 year only, but he said pretty close to that is the way he put it, John. So it's going to be interesting. And I think it's something that Pittsburgh likes as well. As good as he is, John, you got to remember too, he's getting a contract, but look at the contract that he's signing. I think it was like 14, 15 million. Well, Brock Purdy and the rest of the gang who are in the top 10 of salaries are probably all north of 50 million at this point in time, right? So I think he realizes, you know, that there still might be sun up there in the sky, but that sun might get replaced by the moon in the not too distant future. But that being said, he's also married now. You know, he had that secret marriage that he went out and did. So I think he's starting to become that guy who's like, all right, I've gotten to this point. I am 41. I feel 31. But unless I feel like 31 at the end of next season or this season, I don't think he's going to play again. So this could be just that tour, John, just like all the rockers. He's going to go from stadium to stadium to stadium, and well-deserved. I think the world of the guy. I think he does a lot of things that are kind of crazy, but when it's all said and done, the guy really is as well-read of an athlete as there is out there. He's one of these guys like Jesse Ventura. He absolutely just puts himself into as many books as he can to get as much knowledge as he can. And he does the same thing on the football side. So pretty impressive guy all the way around. You and I have known him for a hell of a long time. And I think that he's going to be one and done. What do you think? What if it's just an average season for him? Does he then for sure walk away, would you say?
Obviously, he thinks he can lead them into and perhaps all the way through the playoffs, Pete. He thinks that. He's got a great relationship, apparently, that he developed with Metcalf, who is that monster. You know, he's like Megatron, Pete. He's one of those guys, just like Megatron out of Georgia Tech. Metcalf is that kind of big body that can basically just go right through defensive backs on his way to the ball. Mm-hmm. So they worked out a lot in California, according to all reports, and got along well. And I think more than saying this is his last season, he says, I'm going to end my career as a Steeler, which to me doesn't necessarily say this is a one and done. He's just going to end his career as a Steeler. Okay. So depending how far they go, Pete, and how good his bod holds up, I think it could be more than one and done. But I think given the the weapons that he's got, like you and I said all along, this is a situation that is tailor-made for him. So were the Vikings rather tailor-made, but they didn't want to give up on their young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. And I think that was smart for them not to do that, Pete. So as good as Rodgers is, I think this was the best spot he could have ended up at.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Well, the NBA season is now finally done. But that being said, I just wanted to say, look at all the different folks out there that have pushed the button to start trading guys around, John. I mean, that absolutely incredible. I mean, Kevin Durant was one of the very first, right? I mean, they went after Kevin Durant. He decided he's going to go to Houston. He's going to extend his time. You know, some guys say, well, he's getting a little bit old. The guy has been unbelievable. When you take a look at his numbers, you know, year in and year out. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be injuries. There's this and that. He's a 7-foot guy who can dribble the ball. He can shoot it from anywhere. I mean, that's a guy that I think just about anybody would want on their team for the right, you know, for the right reasons. And the Timberwolves tried to go after him, but they couldn't get him convinced to go there. But he ended up going with Houston. Big trade for him, man, after he's being at Phoenix. But then you look at the Celtics. They get rid of Porzingis. That's kind of interesting. They send him to the Hawks. The Mavericks decide to, you know, do a little bit more of a dance with Kyrie. Kind of interesting. The Pelicans do like a 4-man trade. They wanted Poole and Bay. They got them, and then they made a trade. So these multi-unit type trades and everything else that's going on there. And oh, by the way, they finally got some sort of closure with the Minnesota Timberwolves, John. They finally were able to get Laurie and Rodriguez, A-Raj, the opportunity to say, we're the owners of the team. They finally got the approval from the NFL owners yesterday. So that's pretty interesting. Glenn Taylor, the original owner, finally had to step away from the numbers that was $1.5 billion, John. They stole it, really. I mean, and I'm not saying that as a huge fan of the NBA necessarily, but $1.5 billion for any of the teams really in the NBA, I think that's probably a pretty fair deal for them, and that's why they wanted to lock that in. And I think Glenn Taylor realized that he made a mistake early on, but they locked it in and they got it for $1.5 billion, John. And supposedly the Lynx are worth about $230 million somewhere within that whole thing too. But what do you think about this, the amazing amount of trades that are already happening? They just finished just a couple days ago, right? I mean, it's amazing how fast this thing turns.
Yeah, it's not even a week old, Pete, that we've got OKC as the champs. I think there's going to be very active trading around this year, Pete. In some cases, because some teams won't be able to afford either under the cap or otherwise some of these players for what they're getting these days. But keep in mind what Pete's been saying for months, if not years, and that is that contract with Disney/ESPN is awesome for the NBA. Not awesome for ESPN, but a lot of that TV money, Pete, that's why these salaries are going through the roof. And yeah, you're right. Kevin Durant, he came out of Peoria East, I think, or I can't remember if that was the name of it, Pete, but it wasn't the city of Peoria, but shoot, it was the far western side of the Chicago area. He played 1 year there. They won the state championship. He went right from high school to pros because he was that good. That's how good KD is. And, you know, I think he's going to be happy in Houston, quite frankly, Pete.
Yep. Oh, yeah. What's not to love about Houston, by the way? Great barbecue, great people down there. You got great golf if you like that. I mean, what the hell? I mean, Houston's a great place.
It is. Well, we thank all of you for joining us today. Make sure that you do check out Option Circle because it really is a fabulous platform that'll bolt onto any of the brokerages, really. Of the top 10 brokerages, it'll bolt onto any of them, folks. All you need to do is get a subscription to them, and you can start firing in orders that are basically married together rather than legging from one thing to the other and so forth. And we appreciate all of you joining us. Pete and I will be back tomorrow at what time, Pete?
1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Thursday. Giddy up.
Thanks.